So now we have a game where you've got an enemy to avoid, and in a later video I'm going to show you how to make the enemy a little bit more challenging, and you can escape through the escape tile by reaching the end of the level. But we're going to throw in now another slight challenge, which is making it so as that the player has to collect 3 keys before the escape tile works. And we're going to do that by adding another object to represent the key and adding them onto the level. So I'm going to start by creating a key sprite. So I'm going to close off these windows. I'm going to right click on sprite, create a sprite, and I'm going to call this sprite SPR key. It's 64 by 64, which is what we want, and I'm going to go to edit image. I'm going to pick black. I'm going to pick the pencil tool and a thicker pen size, and I'm going to draw a couple of teeth in there, a line across, excuse my drawing. Then I'm going to click on the ellipse tool and add kind of the circle to the end of the key. So that's a quick key sprite. You can spend a little bit longer, you make it a little bit more detailed, entirely up to you, but for my all intents and purposes that works for me. So I'm going to close that off. I'm going to close it off again. I'm now going to create an object to represent that key, and I'm going to click on create object, and I'm going to call this object key. The sprite I'm going to use, so I click on no sprite. The sprite I'm going to use is, I'm sure I changed the name of that sprite to sprite key. I haven't done, so I'm going to pick sprite 8. Maybe change the name of that a little later. Click sprite 8, and I'm going to close that off. Close that off. And now I'm going to go into room level 1, my main room, and I'm going to take my object key and I'm going to drag some keys. I'm going to drag 3 random keys around the level. So when I run the game, you'll see that the keys are in place, but at the moment they don't actually do anything. Can't collect them, I can't pick them up. So I'm going to close my game, and now I'm going to add the code to have the player pick up the keys. But the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm going to click on open player, I'm going to go into the create event. I'm going to drag the code over here, and I'm just going to draw your attention to this variable here that you created earlier, the keys collected variable, because we're now going to make use of that when the player collects the keys. I'm going to move out of here. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close these 2 windows, 3 windows, and I'm now going to open object key. And I'm going to add an event, and I'm going to add a collision event, and I'm going to choose object player. So this event will run whenever object player collides with the key, or technically speaking, whenever the key collides with the player, but it's the same difference. And I'm going to use a set global variable command. My global variable command is living in my recently used, as yours may be, but if not, search for it. So I'm going to drag it across, and the global variable I want to affect is the keys collected that we added to the player object, and I want to increase it by 1 by using the value of 1 and checking the relative box. And what this piece of code does is every time a key is collected, it increases the number of keys that the player has collected, i.e. this variable here. Then I'm going to do a search for another code block, which is destroy, destroy instance, and I'm going to drag that across. And what this command is going to do is when my key collides with a player, the key will be destroyed and removed from the game. So let's run the code and see if that's going to work. Excellent. So now the player can go around the level, collect the key. I'm going to close it. I'm going to click play again just to demonstrate something. So the whole idea is, with 3 keys collected, the player should be able to escape. But I've only collected 1 key, but I can still escape. So I'm going to close that. And I'm going to go back to my object player. So I'm going to close these off. I'm going to open object player, and I'm going to check here. I'm going to open here the object escape collision event. And this is the event, if you remember, that we put in place to signify that the player has reached the end tile and has escaped. But what we want to do now is we want to put an if statement. If you notice, I'm moving these around so that the go to room is on the right hand side of the if statement. And what we're going to do here, we're going to check whether the player has collected all 3 keys. So is the variable keys collected equal to 3? And only then will the player be able to escape the room, escape the level. If you add more keys or more collectibles, this value here needs to match. So if you've got 4 keys, this value needs to be 4. So I'm going to run that code now and let's have a look. I'm going to collect one of the keys. I'm going to try and escape, but I can't. Collect another key, try and escape, but I can't. Roll back, collect the 3rd key, and now you'll see I've got the victory screen displayed. And that just adds another level of challenge to the game. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to make the bad guys a little bit more bad. And I will talk to you all then.